My new boss Tames Stallions by day and my body during our late-night sessions. The whip cracked through the crisp Texas morning air like a gunshot, echoing off the sun-baked corrals of the Double R Ranch. I froze in the doorway of the stable office, my coffee mug trembling in my hand, the bitter steam rising to mix with the earthy scent of hay and horse sweat. That sound, it wasn't just control. It was power, raw and unyielding, the kind that made my pulse stutter even from 50 yards away. And there she was, my new boss, Riley Kane, all 6 feet of her, broad-shouldered and unapologetically fierce, her dark hair tied back in a no-nonsense ponytail that swung like a pendulum as she circled the massive black stallion. "Easy now, boy," she murmured, her voice low and gravelly, laced with that southern drawl that could soothe a beast or shatter a soul. The horse reared, hooves slicing the air, but Riley didn't flinch. She stepped closer, her gloved hand steady on the reins, eyes locked like she was staring down the devil himself. I was supposed to be filing payroll slips, not gawking like some starstruck intern. But God, from the moment I'd walked into this dusty empire 2 weeks ago, Riley had been a force I couldn't ignore. 28 years old, fresh out of a dead-end admin job in Austin, I'd taken this gig as the ranch's office manager because the ad promised room to grow. What it didn't say was that growth came with thorns, sharp, intoxicating ones. The main conflict hit me square in the chest that first day. I needed this job to scrape by after my breakup with Sarah, the one who'd left me questioning every damn thing about love and lust. But Riley? She was the storm I hadn't seen coming. A woman who tamed wild things for a living and looked at me like I was next on her list. The stallion bucked again, a thunderous snort escaping its nostrils, and Riley laughed, a deep throaty sound that vibrated through the ground up to my boots. She cracked the whip once more, not to hurt but to command, her body moving with the fluid grace of someone who'd wrestled fate since she was a kid on these very plains. I could smell the leather of her chaps from here, mixed with the faint tang of her sweat, and it pulled me in like a riptide. My breath hitched, a soft sigh slipping out before I could catch it. Why her? Why now? I leaned against the doorframe, the rough wood scraping my palm, heart pounding as if the horse's frenzy was my own. By noon the office was a sanctuary of sorts. Fans whirring lazily overhead, papers stacked like forgotten dreams on my desk. I'd barely settled when the door swung open, letting in a gust of hot wind and Riley herself. She filled the frame, dust clinging to her like a second skin, her blue eyes sharp as the knife sheathed at her belt. "Morning, Ellis," she said, my last name rolling off her tongue like a challenge. No one called me by my first name, Jamie, not here. It felt too intimate, too close to the bone. "Morning, Miss Kane." I stood too quickly, knocking over a pencil cup, the clatter echoing like my nerves. She smirked, that half-cocked grin that made her look like she knew every secret I'd buried. At 32, Riley was the youngest owner of the Double R, inherited from a father who'd drunk himself into an early grave, and left her to wrangle a legacy of debt and dreams. Horse trainer by trade, rancher by blood, American through and through, with that rugged individualism etched into her sun-kissed skin. She dropped a stack of invoices on my desk, close enough that I caught the scent of her, saddle soap and wild sage, heady and unfiltered. "Call me Riley. We're not in some corporate tower." Her fingers brushed mine as she pulled back, a spark jumping like static on a summer night. I swallowed hard, the air between us thickening, charged with something unspoken. That touch lingered, a ghost on my skin as she turned to leave. "Dinner tonight? Ranch hands tradition for new blood." I nodded, words failing me, my mind already racing to the what-ifs. Tradition, my ass. This was Texas, big skies, bigger egos, and secrets that simmered under the surface like mesquite in a pit fire. By evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the horizon in strokes of fire, I found myself at the long oak table in the bunkhouse, surrounded by cowboys nursing beers and tall tales. Riley sat at the head, her laugh booming over the clink of bottles, but her eyes kept drifting to me, dark and probing, like she was measuring the wild in my veins. The meal was simple, brisket slow-cooked till it fell apart, cornbread steaming with butter, the smoky aroma wrapping around us like a blanket. Conversation flowed easy about busted fences and prize stallions, But under it all, tension coiled in my gut. When the others cleared out, leaving plates scraped clean and embers glowing in the fire pit outside, Riley poured us whiskey, amber liquid glugging into tumblers, the burn promising forgetfulness or fire. To new beginnings, she toasted, her glass clinking mine, the vibration humming up my arm. We talked then, really talked, about Austin's concrete jungle choking her as a teen, how she'd fled back to the ranch after a string of heartbreaks that left her walls higher than the stockade fence. I confessed my own wreckage. Sarah, the artist who'd painted me into her world, then erased me without a backward glance, leaving me adrift in a sea of unanswered questions. Riley listened, her knee brushing mine under the table, accidental at first, then not. The contact sent heat pooling low in my belly, a sigh escaping as I shifted, the wooden bench creaking under me. Midnight crept in on moth wings, the ranch silent save for the distant whinny of horses and the crackle of dying flames. "Walk with me?" she asked, voice soft now, stripped of its daytime armor. We wandered the moonlit pastures, boots crunching on gravel, the cool night air kissing my flushed cheeks. Stars wheeled overhead, vast and indifferent, but Riley's presence was a gravity all its own. She stopped by the stallion's pen, the same black beast from morning, now calm, grazing as if the fury had been a dream. "He's like us," she said, leaning on the rail, her shoulder warm against mine. "Full of fire, but needs a firm hand to guide it." Her words hung heavy, laced with intent, and when she turned, her face inches from mine, I saw the hunger there, mirrored in my own reflection. Our breaths mingled, ragged and uneven, the scent of whiskey on her lips drawing me closer. Then her hand cupped my jaw, thumb tracing my lower lip, and the world narrowed to that touch, electric and inevitable. The kiss was a storm, fierce, consuming, her mouth claiming mine with the same command she used on untamed beasts. I melted into it, a gasp tearing from my throat as her fingers tangled in my hair, pulling just enough to sting sweetly. The fence dug into my back, rough and grounding, as her body pressed flush, curves yielding and demanding. Heat bloomed everywhere we touched, the night's chill forgotten in the blaze of her. But as quickly as it ignited, she pulled back, eyes stormy. It's a bad idea, Jamie. I'm your boss. This ranch, it's all I have." The conflict crashed back, the power imbalance, the small-town whispers that could unravel everything. My heart ached, a dull throb like a bruise forming. "Then why does it feel right?" I whispered, voice cracking, the words tasting of salt and regret. She sighed, long and weary, forehead resting against mine, the warmth of her breath a caress. "Because some things are worth the risk." And with that, she led me to her cabin, the door clicking shut behind us like a promise sealed in shadow. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of aged pine and faint lavender from a forgotten sachet. Riley's hands were everywhere, unbuttoning my shirt with deliberate slowness, each pop of fabric a heartbeat in the quiet. I shivered, not from cold, but from the vulnerability of it all, my skin prickling under her gaze. "Tell me to stop," she murmured, lips brushing my collarbone, sending sparks down my spine. "Don't," I breathed, arching into her, the soft hitch of my inhale the only sound besides the distant hoot of an owl. She guided me to the bed, a sturdy four-poster that creaked under our weight, sheets cool against my fevered back. Her touch was a revelation, firm yet reverent, mapping me like uncharted territory. Fingers trailed fire along my ribs, eliciting a whimper I couldn't suppress, the room filling with the wet sounds of kisses and the rustle of discarded clothes. As dawn crept in, painting the walls gold, we lay tangled, her arm draped possessively over my waist, breath steady against my neck. But even in the afterglow, doubt whispered. The ranch's eyes, the ledgers I balanced by day, the whip-crack mornings that reminded me she was untouchable. Yet in that moment, with her heartbeat sinking to mine, I dared to believe we could tame this wild thing between us. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of stolen glances and suppressed sighs, the ranch a sprawling stage for our secret drama. By day, I buried myself in spreadsheets, the hum of the ancient computer, a monotonous drone that drowned out the ache in my chest. Riley was a vision in the fields, striding through dust clouds, her commands sharp as she broke a new filly, the animal's muscles rippling under her expert hand. I'd watch from the office window, coffee growing cold, imagining those hands on me, the way they'd coax surrender from my body in the dim light of her cabin. The conflict gnawed deeper now, a barbed wire fence around my heart. Whispers started. Ranch hands exchanging looks when Riley lingered too long by my desk, her casual good work, Ellis laced with the warmth that felt like foreplay. Small-town Texas didn't forgive scandals, especially not ones wrapped in rainbow flags. I'd grown up here in the shadow of these hills, knowing the Bible Belt's grip. Love like ours was sin dressed in silk, beautiful but bound for burning. Yet every night when the stars pricked the velvet sky, I'd slip away to her, the gravel path crunching under my sneakers like brittle bones. One evening, as thunder rumbled distant threats, she called me to the arena. "Need your eyes on this one," she said over the phone, voice husky from shouting orders all day. I arrived to find her wrestling a chestnut mare, the horse's eyes wild with panic, flanks lathered in sweat that gleamed like oil under the floodlights. The air smelled of ozone and fear, sharp and metallic. Riley's shirt clung to her translucent, outlining the strength I traced with trembling fingers. "Hold her steady," she barked, tossing me the lead rope. My hand shook as I gripped it, the coarse fibers biting into my palms, the mare's hot breath puffing against my arm in frantic bursts. Riley approached from the side, her movements a dance of dominance, cooing low then firm until the beast stilled, ears flicking forward in submission. "See? It's about trust," she said, wiping her brow, a bead of sweat tracing down her temple to her jaw. Our eyes met and the arena faded, the thunder, the horse's soft whuffle, all drowned by the roar in my ears. That night in her cabin, trust became our altar. She blindfolded me with a silk scarf from her drawer, the fabric cool and smooth against my eyelids, plunging me into velvet darkness. "Breathe," she whispered, her voice a anchor as her fingers ghosted over my wrists, binding them loosely with soft rope, remnants from the tack room scented faintly of leather and earth. My pulse thrummed a wild drumbeat, each inhale ragged, the creak of the floorboards under her steps amplifying the anticipation. The first touch, a feather-like kiss on my inner thigh, drew a gasp, my body arching off the bed like a bowstring released. Riley's laugh was low, intimate, vibrating against my skin as she explored, her mouth a map of torment and bliss. Sensations layered. The tickle of her hair on my belly, the wet heat of her tongue circling sensitive peaks, eliciting moans that echoed off the rafters. "Let go, Jamie," she urged, her free hand pressing my hip down, grounding me as waves built, crashing in shudders that left me boneless, tears soaking the blindfold. Afterward she untied me slowly, kisses peppering the red marks like apologies, her sigh warm on my shoulder. "You're mine in these hours," she murmured, pulling me close, our legs entwining like roots seeking soil. But dawn always came, cruel and clarifying. Mornings brought the whip's crack, Riley back in boss mode, barking orders while I avoided her gaze, cheeks burning from memories. The main tension peaked one humid afternoon when Old Man Hargrove, the ranch's grizzled foreman, cornered me by the water trough. His tobacco-stained teeth flashed in a leer. "Heard some noises from the boss's place last night. You playin' wrangler to more than papers, girl?" His words slithered like smoke, coiling tight around my throat. I stammered denials, the splash of water from the trough mocking my flush, but his chuckle lingered, a poison seed planted. Panic clawed at me through the day, the scent of rain-soaked earth turning sour in my nostrils, every footstep behind me a potential accuser. By evening I confronted Riley in the tack room, the air thick with oil and bridal leather, shadows dancing from the lantern's flicker. "Hargrove knows," I hissed, voice breaking, tears pricking hot. She pulled me into her arms, strong and unyielding, her heartbeat a steady thud against my ear. "Let him talk. This ranch is mine, ours if you want it." Her words ignited something fierce, and we tumbled onto a pile of saddle blankets, the wool scratchy against my back, her weight a welcome crush. Kisses turned desperate, teeth grazing collarbones, nails raking down spines in frantic trails. The storm broke outside, rain lashing the tin roof in a symphony of chaos, mirroring our frenzy, gasp swallowed by thunder, bodies slick with sweat and need. She took me with a strap she'd hidden away, the leather harness cool at first, then warming to fever pitch, each thrust a punctuation to my cries, the world dissolving in rhythm and release. Lying spent amid the tangles, lightning flashing silver through cracks in the walls, doubt crept back. What if it costs you everything? I whispered, tracing the scar on her forearm, a memento from a bucking bronco years ago, rough under my fingertip. Riley's eyes softened, vulnerable in the afterglow, her sigh a gust that stirred the air. Then we'll build it back, brick by wild brick. Together. Yet the whispers grew, a undercurrent pulling at the ranch's seams. A week later, during a cattle drive simulation, dust devils swirling, lowing beasts thundering past, Hargrove accidentally let a steer bolt toward me. I stumbled, mud sucking at my boots, heart slamming as Riley spurred her horse between us, rope flying true to lasso the beast. She dismounted in a fury, face thunderous, grabbing Hargrove by the collar. Touch her world again and you're gone. The threat hung raw and real, the cowboys falling silent, wind whistling through the herd like a held breath. That night, gratitude morphed into worship. In her bed, candles guttering with wax tears, Riley let me lead, my hands exploring her with tentative reverence, lips mapping the freckles across her chest like constellations. Her moans were music, deep and unrestrained, fingers clenching sheets as I brought her to edge after edge, the taste of her salt and sweet on my tongue. Jamie, she groaned, body bowing, a shuddering exhale as she shattered, pulling me down into the warmth. But safety was illusion. The next morning an anonymous letter arrived, slid under the office door, ink smudged like spite. Filth like yours ends careers. Leave or be exposed. My hands trembled, paper crinkling, the words blurring through tears. Riley found me there, curled on the floor, and her rage was a quiet blaze, crumpling the note, crushing it in her fist. We'll fight this, she vowed, kissing my temple, her voice steel wrapped in silk. As summer deepened, our nights became ritual late sessions where she tamed me with whispers and whips of silk, each encounter peeling back layers of fear. One moonless eve under a canopy of live oaks, she blindfolded me again, leading me to a hidden glade. The grass was dew-kissed, cool blades tickling my bare feet, crickets chirping a serenade. Trust the dark, she breathed, her hands guiding me down, the earth soft and yielding. What followed was symphony and sin, her mouth devouring, fingers delving deep, my cries swallowed by the night, waves crashing until I was adrift, remade in her image. Yet the threat loomed, a shadow lengthening with each dawn. I felt it in the sidelong glances, the sudden silences when we entered a room together. Love this potent was a wildfire, beautiful, but one spark from consuming us whole. Autumn winds began to whisper through the cottonwoods, stripping leaves in golden showers that crunched underfoot like fragile promises. The ranch pulsed with harvest frenzy, bales stacked high, the air rich with the sweet decay of fallen apples from the orchard bordering the property. But beneath the bustle, our secret frayed at the edges, the anonymous threats evolving into vandalism. A slashed tire on my truck, the word "dyke," keyed into the paint one fog-shrouded dawn. I discovered it after a sleepless night, Riley's scent still clinging to my skin like a talisman, the metallic tang of fear mixing with morning dew as I traced the gouge with numb fingers. The hook of our story had sunk deep, but now the line jerked taut, pulling us toward abyss. Riley's face hardened when I showed her, jaw set like granite, but her eyes, those piercing blues, betrayed the storm within, a flicker of fear she'd never admit. Bastards, she growled, low and lethal, punching the truck's hood with a thud that echoed my heartbeat. We reported it to the sheriff, a pot-bellied relic named Tate who chewed his toothpick and drawled, "Folks get riled round here. Best keep things neighborly." His implication hung, sour as his coffee breath, leaving us raw in the station's fluorescent glare. Nights turned therapeutic, a balm against the barbs. Riley's cabin became our fortress, lamplight spilling warm pools on the braided rugs, the scent of beeswax candles mingling with our musk. She'd draw me baths in the clawfoot tub, steaming water scented with eucalyptus from a kit she'd ordered online, bubbles foaming like sea foam, her hand soaping my shoulders with slow circles that melted tension from my bones. "Let me take care of you," she'd murmur, voice a rumble against my ear as she knelt behind me, thumbs kneading knots until I sighed, head lolling back, water sloshing gently. One such evening, after a day of evading Hargrove's smug stares, she led me to the bedroom blindfolded once more, the silk of familiar lover's promise. The air hummed with anticipation, her footsteps soft on the hardwood, a rustle like whispers. When she removed it, I gasped, the room transformed. Mirrors propped against walls, reflecting infinite versions of us, candles flickering in a circle like a sacred rite. "Tonight you see yourself through me," she said, stripping me with reverent hands, each garment pooling at my feet like shed inhibitions. She positioned me before the largest mirror, her body a shadow at my back, hands roaming, cupping breasts, pinching nipples to peaks that drew whimpers from my throat. Our reflections danced, erotic and ethereal, her lips on my neck sucking marks like brands of ownership. The sight amplified everything. The slide of her fingers between my thighs, slick and insistent, circling that bundle of nerves until my knees buckled, a moan tearing free, raw and animal. "Watch," she commanded, voice husky as she knelt, tongue delving deep, the wet sounds obscene in the quiet, my image contorting in pleasure. Flushed, undone, alive. Climax hit like a thunderclap, body convulsing, cries echoing off glass, her name a prayer on my lips. She rose then, shedding her clothes in a fluid reveal, scars and strength bared, beautiful in vulnerability. I returned the favor, pushing her to the bed, mirrors capturing every angle as I worshipped, lips trailing fire down her abdomen, tongue flicking teasingly before plunging, her hips bucking, gasps sharpening to please. "Jamie! God!" she groaned, fingers fisting my hair. Release shuddering through her in waves that left her trembling, tears glistening on lashes. We collapsed in a heap, breath sinking in the candlelit haze, her arm a heavy anchor over my waist. "I love you," she whispered, the words slipping out like a confession, raw and unarmored. My heart stuttered, joy and terror entwining. "I love you too," I replied, voice thick, the admission a bridge over chasm. But love didn't shield us from the world. The next week brought escalation. A fire in the hayloft, flames licking skyward in orange fury, sirens wailing as volunteers scrambled hoses, water arcing in desperate arcs. Riley and I fought side by side, faces smudged with soot, the acrid smoke burning lungs, her hand squeezing mine in the chaos. A silent vow amid shouts and crackling timbers. Arson, the fire chief confirmed later, his face grim under the ranch house porch light, the scent of charred wood clinging like accusation. Suspicion fell on Hargrove. He'd been seen skulking near the barn, alibi flimsy as wet paper. Riley fired him on the spot, the showdown in the yard a cinematic clash. Wind whipping dust, his face purple with rage, spittle flying as he snarled, "You'll regret this, you and your little whore." The slur landed like a slap, but Riley stepped forward unblinking. "Get off my land or I'll bury you under it." He slunk away, tail between legs, but the victory tasted bitter, ash on my tongue. That night, adrenaline crashed into catharsis. In the shower, steam fogging the glass, we washed away grime. Her soapy hands gliding over my curves, mine over her taut muscles, kisses deepening under the spray's warm cascade. Water sluiced between us, rivulets tracing paths we'd follow with mouths and fingers, the tile cool against my back as she lifted me, legs wrapping her waist. Thrusts were urgent, slippery, her growls mingling with my moans, climax a shared explosion that left us sliding down, laughing through tears, the drain gurgling our release. Recovery stretched the days, insurance calls droning from my desk, the phone's plastic warm under my ear, Riley's voice a steady thread in meetings, her boot tapping mine under the table in reassurance. Yet intimacy evolved, deepening beyond flesh. We'd sit on the porch swing at dusk, creaking rhythmically, her head on my shoulder, sharing stories of girlhood crushes. Hers on the rodeo queen who'd never looked back, mine on the librarian with kind eyes and forbidden novels. Laughter bubbled, soft and healing, the horizon swallowing the sun in a blaze of pink and gold. But shadows persisted. A letter from Riley's mother arrived, Postmarked from Dallas, envelope crisp as judgment. I watched her read it by the kitchen table, lamplight haloing her tense form, the tick of the clock amplifying her silence. She knows, Riley said finally, voice hollow, crumpling the paper. Discernment veiled in concern. This lifestyle will destroy you, Riley Ann. Come home before it's too late. The words echoed my fears, a mirror to the world's rejection. We burned it in the fire pit that night, flames devouring the ink, sparks rising like defiant prayers. Emboldened, she took me riding, saddling 2 geldings at dawn, the sky a watercolor of lavender and rose, dew purling on manes. Hooves thudded soft on dew-kissed trails, wind singing through pines, her laughter ahead like a beacon. At a clearing by the creek, water gurgling over stones, dragonflies skimming the surface, we dismounted, spreading a blanket for a picnic of cheese and wine, grapes bursting juicy on tongues. Play turned passionate, clothes shed in the dappled light, bodies rolling in grass tickled by ants and breeze. Her mouth on my breast, sucking gently then fierce, drew arches and sighs, my hand between her legs, fingers curling to that spot that made her keen, the creek's murmur masking our symphony. Release came in tandem, bodies quaking earthward, afterglow lazy with kisses and whispers of forever. Yet the ranch whispered back, rumors swelling like thunderheads. A town hall meeting loomed, investors circling for a buyout, their polished shoes out of place in our dust. Riley's resolve hardened, but I saw the cracks, nights she tossed sweat-damp sheets twisting, murmurs of loss in her sleep. Our love was a stallion unbroken, glorious but galloping toward cliffs. Winter's grip tightened like a lover's unyielding hold, frost etching filigree on windows, the ranch blanketed in crystalline hush. Mornings dawned brittle, breath clouding in plumes as I crunched across frozen grass to the office, the coffee's steam a fleeting warmth against numb cheeks. Riley's taming sessions evolved with the season, less about control, more about surrender, our bodies seeking heat in the cabin's hearth glow. But the external storm raged fiercer. Investors descended like vultures, suits starched against our denim world, their proposals laced with veiled threats. Modernize or fold, one sneered in the conference room we jury-rigged from the old smithy, his cologne cloying amid the anvil's ghost scent. The core conflict crystallized there, our love once private wildfire, now fuel for sabotage. Leaks to the local paper painted Riley as unstable, distracted by personal indiscretions, the byline Hargrove's cousin, no doubt. I read it aloud to her that evening, voice trembling over the kitchen table, the newsprint's ink smudging my fingers like guilt. Her face paled, then flushed with fury, chair scraping back as she paced, boots thudding on the saltillo tile. They want the land, not the legacy, she spat, fists clenched, knuckles whitening. We sought solace in ritual. That night she prepared the scene with meticulous care, drawing the heavy quilts over the bed, the fabric whispering like secrets, a bottle of massage oil warming by the fire, its almond scent blooming sweet and nutty. Lie down, she instructed, voice gentle command, guiding me onto the furs, my skin prickling in the fire's dance. Her hands, callous from rains yet tender, poured oil in rivulets down my spine, thumbs pressing deep into muscles knotted by worry, eliciting groans that rumbled from my chest like distant quakes. She worked methodically, shoulders yielding to size, lower back arching under pressure, the glide turning sensual as fingers dipped lower, teasing clefts and folds. Blindfolded again, this time with velvet, darkness amplified every stroke. The pop of embers, her breath hot on my thigh, the slick sounds of exploration. Feel me, she purred, parting my legs, tongue tracing lazy figure eights that built pressure like a gathering squall. My hips lifted, seeking more, whimpers fracturing into pleas, climax unfurling in slow, shattering waves, body quivering like aspen leaves in gust. In turn I tended her, flipping positions, oil-slick hands mapping her planes, lips suckling the pulse at her throat, tasting salt and smoke. She arched, a guttural moan escaping as I delved between thighs, fingers and mouth in concert, her release a torrent that soaked us both, cries echoing off log walls. We curled after, fire crackling lullaby, her whisper feather light. We'll weather this, cowgirl. But weathering proved brutal. The town hall was a coliseum of judgment. Folding chairs scraping in the community center. Air thick with coffee and condescension. Fluorescent buzz underscoring murmurs. Riley stood at the podium, voice steady as she defended the ranch's soul. Sustainable grazing, community ties forged in sweat and soil. I sat front row, heart pounding, her glance a lifeline amid the sea of skeptical faces. Questions turned venomous. How do we trust a owner entangled in unnatural affairs? A woman's voice shrill, the room erupting in nods and whispers. Riley's composure cracked. A sharp inhale, eyes flashing. My life is mine just as this land is ours. Judge the books, not the bedrooms. Applause sputtered, divided, but the damage lingered. Investors withdrawing like receding tides, leaving financial reefs exposed. That night, defeat weighed heavy. We drove to the back 40, truck bumping over rutted roads, stars pricking the ink-black sky like accusations. Parking by the windmill, its blades groaning lazy circles, she spread a bedroll in the bed, pulling me close under blankets, the metal warm from the engine. Kisses started soft, consoling, then hungry, hands fumbling zippers in the chill. The air nipped exposed skin, heightening every caress. Her mouth on my breast, cold then hot, drawing gasps that fogged the cab. I straddled her, grinding slow, the friction building through denim until we shed layers, bare against each other, moans mingling with the wind's howl. Penetration came improvised. A smooth handle from her toolkit, chilled at first, warming inside me as she thrust, her free hand circling, pushing me over edge with a cry that scattered coyotes. She followed, my fingers her undoing, release shuddering through her in silent sobs, tears freezing on lashes. I can't lose you, she choked, holding tight, the truck rocking gently in aftershocks. Spring teased early, wildflowers nodding purple heads in meadows, but renewal mocked our stasis. Debts mounted, foreclosure notices crisp in the mail slot, the papers rattle a daily dirge. Riley threw herself into training, a prize stallion for auction, the beast a coal-black tempest she'd been breaking since foalhood. I watched sessions, mesmerized. Her commands slicing fog, whip cracking punctuation, the horse's muscles coiling then yielding mirror to our own dance. One dawn, as mist clung to valleys like lover's breath, she invited me into the round pen. Help me, she said, tossing me a crop, her eyes challenging. Heart hammering, I followed her lead, circling the stallion, voice tentative at first, then firming, the leather snap surprising even me. The horse responded, ears pricked, and Riley's grin was sunrise. See? You've got the fire. Pride swelled, warm as her subsequent hug, bodies aligning in shared triumph, the pen's dust settling like confetti. Emboldened, our nights wove empowerment. In the barn loft, hay bales are thrown, she bound me loosely to a beam, ropes soft, fragrant with alfalfa, blindfold heightening the rustle of her approach. Feathers first, tickling Saul's inner thighs, drawing giggles that dissolved into hitches as mouth followed, devouring with languid strokes. Suspension amplified vulnerability, blood rushing, sensations cresting an explosive release, legs trembling post-freeing, her arms my haven. I reciprocated under stars on a hilltop blanket, tracing her with ice from a cooler, cubes melting on heated skin, paths followed by tongue, her shivers music. Fingers plunged as she begged, climax ripping a roar from her depths, body bowing starward, afterglow philosophical. Love's the real taming, wild hearts choosing chains. Yet crisis crested. The auction loomed, stallions sail our Hail Mary, but sabotage struck. Laxative in his feed, the beast colicking in agony, whinnies piercing night like knives. We nursed him through, Riley's hands steady on his flank, my compresses cool on fevered brow, tears streaming as vet bills bled accounts dry. In exhaustion's wake, by his stall straw-prickling knees, we made love fierce and frantic. Against the wall, her strap urgent, my nails scoring her back, releases cathartic screams swallowed by hay scent. The meaningful turn beckoned faintly, resilience forging deeper bonds, but shadows lengthened, demanding confrontation. Summer returned vengeful, heat waves shimmering off asphalt like mirages of escape, the ranch a furnace of sweat and strain. The stallion recovered, but the auction fetched half enough to stall foreclosure, not cure it. Riley's shoulders bore the weight visibly now, lines etching her face like cracks in parched earth, her laughs rarer, edged with weariness. Our late nights shifted tone. Less conquest, more communion, bodies seeking solace in familiarity. Yet the central maw widened. A lawsuit from Hargrove alleging wrongful termination, his deposition dripping lies about moral turpitude on ranch grounds. I found the summons on her desk, red-stamped and ominous, the paper's edge slicing my thumb, a bead of blood welling like omen. "Fight it," I urged that evening, voices low over pot roast, meat tender, gravy rich with rosemary but tasteless on my tongue. She nodded, fork scraping plate, but doubt shadowed her eyes, the clink a metronome of anxiety. To reclaim fire, she planned a ritual escape. A weekend at a secluded cabin in the hill country. 2 hours drive through winding roads flanked by live oaks dripping Spanish moss like veils. The journey was foreplay. Her hand on my thigh shifting gears, radio crooning Patsy Cline, wind tousling hair through open windows. Arrival brought cool respite, cypress-shaded lake lapping at docks, air-scented pine and water, the cabin's screened porch creaking welcome. We unpacked languidly, suitcases spilling sundresses and lotions, her kiss catching me mid-fold, deepening to tongues tangling, hands roaming curves. Dinner was impromptu, grilled trout sizzling over open flame, flaky and lemon bright, eaten cross-legged on the dock, feet dangling in chill waves, laughter bubbling as stories flowed. Childhood escapades, dreams deferred. Twilight deepened, fireflies winking like conspirators, and she led me inside. Candles guttering on the mantel, shadows playing on peeled log walls. Undressed by firelight, we explored anew. Mirrors absent, focus inward. She laid me on the bearskin rug, fur soft and primal against skin, oil from a vial warmed between palms, massaging temples first, then downward, thumbs circling breasts to size, dipping to belly's quiver. "Open," she breathed, knees parting, her descent slow, tongue painting broad strokes that arched me, toes curling into pelt. Fingers joined, scissoring gently, building to crescendo. My cry a whoop swallowed by woods, body convulsing in starburst. Reversing, I pinned her playfully, wrestling till she yielded, laughing breathlessly. Lips trailed her length, nipping earlobe to elicit shudders, sucking collarbone to bruises blooming purple. Between thighs I savored, lapping slow then fervent, her hips grinding, please fracturing. Yes. There. Climax claimed her in throes, thighs clamping, release flooding sweet, afterglow cuddling amid embers glow. Days blurred and idle, hikes through fern-choked trails, sweat-beading brows, her hand in mine swinging casual. Swims nude in the lake, water-cool silk on heated flesh, splashes turning to embraces underwater, bubbles rising with giggles. Nights deepened intimacy. One storm-lashed eve, thunder rumbling bass, rain sheeting tin roof, we coupled on the porch swing. Rocking rhythmic, her strap slick with lube, thrust sinking to lightning's flash, moans harmonizing with gale, dual peaks shattering in electric bliss. Return brought reality's lash. The lawyer's office in Fredericksburg, wood-paneled and stale with old books, Hargrove's testimony a venomous reel, fabrications of debauchery, painting us as ruin. Riley's grip crushed mine under the table, knuckles aching her objection. A bark that silenced the room momentarily. Victory was Pyrrhic, settlement forced, a payout that gutted savings but his silence bought. Emptied, we rebuilt in fragments. Ranch work intensified, fencing repairs under blistering sun, hammers ringing anvil sharp, her sweat-damp shirt translucent, drawing my gaze, a stolen kiss behind the barn quick and quenching, tasting dust and desire. Night's exhaustion sweetened surrender. In the hammock strung between posts swaying gentle, her fingers lazy circles on my clit through panties, building slow to whimpers, release a soft unraveling under moon's gaze. But deeper currents stirred, community fractures. A young hand, Maria, outed by similar whispers, approached me tear-streaked by the well pump, water glugging forgotten. "How do you bear it?" she whispered, voice cracking. I hugged her, scent of soap and fear, sharing Riley's strength as beacon. Word spread subtly. Alliances forming, quiet support in nods and covered shifts. Climax brewed at the county fair. Carnival lights garish against dusk. Air cotton candy sweet and fried dough greasy. Crowds milling amid bleats and calls. Riley entered the stallion, now gleaming paragon in the show ring. Hooves clipping arena sand, her commands crisp, the beast's prance poetry. Judges awarded blue, applause thundering, but as we celebrated in the beer tent, foam sloshing mugs, her arm casual around waist, Hargrove lurked, face modeled, accomplices flanking. Confrontation erupted. Slurs hurled over twangy music, fists clenching, a bottle shattering like thunderclap. Riley step shield, voice steel. Enough. We're done hiding. The crowd hushed, then parted. Some jeering, others murmuring approval, Maria's voice piping, leave him be. Fracturing tension. Security hauled him off, but the die cast. Our truth bared, raw and resounding. That night, fair's echo fading, we retreated to the truck bed under hay-scented stars, blankets cocooning. Lovemaking was defiant, her mouth fierce on mine, hands pinning wrists overhead, strap delving deep in punishing rhythm, my legs locked ankles at her back, cries defiant anthems. Peaks collided, bodies slick, release a purging flood, tears mingling with sweat. Healing began tentative, letters from allies, a pride flag fluttering discreet from the office window, colors brave against blue sky. Riley's touch softened, exploratory. One lazy morn, sheets tangled, fingers tracing tattoos I'd hidden, delicate vines on rib, her lips following, tongue flicking to giggles turning gasps, mutual pleasuring a languid duet, climaxes whispering rather than roaring. Yet meaning deepened. Love not conquest but coexistence, wild spirits yoked in harmony. Fall foliage ignited hills in crimson fury, leaves swirling like confetti in gusts, the ranch a tapestry of harvest gold. Legal scars faded to whispers, Hargrove's shadow banished by restraining order, but internal tempests lingered. Riley's doubts surfacing in quiet hours, her vulnerability a new terrain to navigate. What if I'm poison? She confessed one eve by the fire pit, embers popping like punctuation, marshmallows toasting to char on sticks, the sweet burn masking her tremble. I knelt before her, Adirondack chair creaking, hands framing her face, thumbs brushing cheeks roughened by wind. Your life, I countered, kissing slow, tasting Graham and ache. That night reassurance wove through touch. Bedroom aglow with string lights, twinkling like fireflies captive. Her body offered supine, mine explorer. Lips charted unhurried. Nipping lobes to shivers, suckling breasts to peaks aching, descending to core where tongue swirled patient, fingers curling gentle, her sighs building to crescendo, a drawn-out keen body undulating waves release ebbing soft as tide. Empowered, she reciprocated dawn next, waking me with mouth enveloping, warm and insistent, hand stroking base, my fingers fisting hair as pleasure coiled, spilling with groan that fogged window pane. Breakfast followed intimate, pancakes flipping golden, syrup dripping sticky, shared bites laced with grins, domesticity a balm. External harmony bloomed. Town attitudes shifting, Maria's coming out sparking dialogues at the diner. Coffee steaming mugs, pie slices fork-tined, voices tentative then bold. Riley hosted a barn dance. Fiddles sawing lively, boots stomping hay-dusted floor. Punch bowls ladling tart, our dance close, hands linked waist to shoulder, whispers lost in real. Jealous glances yielded to toasts, progress fragile but fervent. Yet conflict reignited subtly. A rival rancher, Vance, sniffing buyout remnants, his overtures oily over steak dinners we'd dodge, his cologne lingering like threat. One negotiation in his office, leather chairs squeaking, bourbon decanter glinting, he leered. Pair of fillies like you could sweeten the deal. Rage boiled, Riley's retort iced. We're not for sale. Storming out, truck tires spitting gravel we vented in cab. Kisses bruising, hands frantic under skirts. Fingers delving mutual, gasps fogging glass. Climaxes quick flares quenching fury. Nights reclaimed poetry. Under harvest moon full and amber, we picnicked orchard edge. Blanket checkered, apples crisp crunching, cider fizzing tart. Play escalated, her tying my wrists with scarf to apple bough, bark rough against back, Mouth devouring fruit juiced lips then lower, tongue lapping folds like ripest flesh, my moans rustling leaves, release cascading golden as lunar light. I unbound her for revenge sweet, laying her midst fallen fruit, rolling her atop pomace soft, fingers and mouth feasting, her cries avian, climax shuddering branches, afterglow juice sticky cuddles. Winter hinted early, chills nipping heels but warmth sustained. Holiday prep infused joy, stringing lights on porch, twinkling against dusk, baking gingerbread scents wafting spicy, her flour-dusted kiss tasting dough. Gift exchange intimate, for her custom bridal etched tamed heart. Eyes misting as she traced, mine leather journal for dreams, pages whispering futures. Yule Eve tree aglow multicolored we made love before it, carpet prickling knees her on all fours, me behind with harness, thrust sinking to carols soft on radio, her moans harmonizing bass, peaks twinkling like ornaments. New Year dawned resolute, resolutions scrawled joint, build unbreakable, ranch thrive tentative new contracts trickling, ecotourism pitched to city folk, their awe at Stallions grace funding buffers. Intimacy matured. One snow-dusted morn cabin blanketed white, we snow angels then inside, shedding wet wool by hearth bodies steaming nude. Slow exploration, mirrors fogged breaths painting hearts, her fingers painting mine inside, reciprocal strokes building symphonic, releases melting drifts outside. Spring equinox marked pivot, ceremony self-wrought. Glade circle candles buried flames vows exchanged raw, through tempests I choose you. Love-making sacramental, oils anointing mouths communing, bodies merging fluid, climaxes transcendent, souls entwining eternal. Summer solstice celebrated abundance, lake bonfire crackling esmeralda's gooey, her blindfolding for sensory play. Ice trails melting to tongue follows, feathers tickling to gasps culmination strap deep, waves lapping applause dual crescendos stellar. Yet undercurrent tugged. Vance's persistence whispers of corporate buyout, threatening legacy. Confrontation brewed boardroom. Air-conditioned chill, charts projecting losses his smile shark. Riley's pitch fierce. Heritage over profit community vested. Standoff ended concession, partnership tentative are terms. Victory sealed lakeside, canoe rocking gentle paddles dipping syncopated, her hands straying thigh-ward, fingers circling underwater, my reciprocal under waistband, building stealthy to stifled peaks, ripples radiating triumph. Love's meaning crystallized, not taming but mutual wilding spirits galloping free yoked. As the wheel turned full circle Texas sunsets bled spectacular, skies bruised purple then aflame, ranch silhouetted sentinel, our bond forged in fire tempered steel, Riley's confidence rebuilt, my fears alchemized courage. Yet the narrative's arc demanded reckoning. Vance's ploy unveiled, bribing officials for zoning shifts, endangering water rights vital to grazing. Discovery came encrypted email, hacked by tech-savvy Maria, screen glowing laptop knee her grin vixen. Gotcha, she crowed, piecing digital trail, coffee sloshing mug excitement. Riley's eyes blazed strategic, plotting counter. Evidence gathered dossiers thick, allies rallied discreet. Interim tension electric. Nights charged anticipation. One eve post-strategy huddle barn loft haven. Hayloft ladder creaking ascent, moonlight slanting beams her pushing me gainst bales golden. Kisses devouring, hands pinning overhead, mouth trailing fire to core. Tongue delving voracious my thighs quaking release bale shifting avalanche. Reciprocal atop her straddling hips grinding deliberate, fingers pinching peaks to arch, descending to feast, her taste heady cries loft echoing, climax bucking like unbroken colt. Alliance swelled town meeting packed, air expectant sweat musk Riley's speech thunder. Corruption exposed slides clicking damning, crowd murmurs cresting roar support. Vance slithered concession, deal dissolved, cheers raucous, hugs enveloping progress palpably sweet. Euphoric aftermath. Fair redux but triumphant stallion parading champion. Blue ribbons fluttering, our booth pride booth, flags waving visitors queuing stories shared. Nightfire Central. Logs popping symphony, marshmallows charring, her dance pulling me whirl, boots stomping dust, laughter freeing. Intimacy celebratory. Post-revel, cabin ablaze, candles constellation. Undressing ritual. Garments folding reverence, bodies oiled gleam, positions fluid, her atop strap gliding deep, rhythms undulating, moans cantata, peaks harmonizing supernova. Summer waned languorous, orchard picnics recurring, apples ripening blush, juices dripping, chins to licks teasing, blanket romps ensuing, fingers orchard fragrant delving, releases leaf rustling. Fall harvest communal, bales stacking communal, cider presses gurgling, her stolen kisses amid sheaves, quick fingers skirt under circling, gasps harvest masked. Winter solstice inward, snow cocooning, hearth narrative spun, her reading poetry, gravel voice, verses igniting, love-making verse inspired, slow builds to frenzied, climaxes solstice stars. Spring renewal foaling season, mare's whinnies heralding our vigil bedside, foal's damp miracle, her tears joy, kiss sealing wonder. Summer zenith, anniversary unmarked year, glade vow renewal, rings simple gold exchanged, love-making earth altar. Bodies soil embracing, unions profound, releases nature orchestrated. Yet depth plumbed, conversations midnight. Past wounds aired, Sarah's ghost exorcised tales, her rodeo heartbreak mended mirrors. Vulnerability bonded tighter, touches healing caresses. Crisis minor. Storm felling fence, repairs mudslogging, her lift carrying over puddle gallant, laugh shared slick slide. Nights evolved artistry. Toys adventured vibrance humming low, her control remote teased dinner over. Building torment to home rush, bed devouring mutual, peaks orchestrated crescendo. Meaning unfolded, love partnership, taming mutual evolution, wildness cherished not curbed. Cycles world ranch legacy solidified. Eco grants flowing, tours buzzing with urban escapees, their cameras clicking awe. Our narrative matured, conflicts internalized. Complacencies creep, routine dulling edge. Riley sense first, eyes searching over breakfast. Eggs sizzling, cast iron, bacon crisp popping. Miss the fight. Voice probing, fork pausing midair. I nodded honest, coffee bitter swallow. Miss the spark. Dialogue ignited renewal, adventures plotted. Road trip Big Bend, desert vast calling. Journey dawn broke, truck laden cooler. Playlists eclectic twang to indie. Miles unspooled conversation deep. Dreams expansive. Ranch expansion, perhaps cafe queer friendly haven. Campsite arrival dusk embered. Tent pitching hammer thuds. Fire ring stones circling. Stars pricking vast. Dinner foil packets steaming veggie protein. Shared bites flirtatious. Nightfall tent zipped intimacy. Sleeping bags unzipped merge, her hands exploring rediscovery. Palms cupping, lips nipping, fingers tracing scars invisible. Building slow to urgency, strap desert silent thrusts. Moans wind whist, dual releases meteor trails. Hikes dawned. Canyons echoing boots crunch, her hand pull up ledge. Summit kiss breathless, vistas humbling. Return invigorated, projects launched. Pride events barn hosted. Rainbows arching rafters, music pulsing, bodies swaying close. Her grind subtle dance floor. Homeward fingers thigh tracing tease. Nights experimental. Role reversal her bound, my commands tentative then bold. Crop light snaps eliciting hitches. Mouth reward following. Her surrender exquisite, climax bowed taut. Reciprocal trust, blindfolded trust walk barn. Her guidance voice anchored, destination hay mound tumble. Undressing guided touch. Union sensory heightened, peaks disorienting bliss. External ripple. Media snippet local news. Ranch revolution. Love leads legacy. Interviews candid, her arm waist draped, views swelling support. Yet introspection beckon, therapy joint, sessions couch sync. Words unpacking baggage. Internalized shame aired, tears cathartic, embraces affirming. Post-session home ritual. Bath shared, bubbles foaming, her washing hair gentle, sighs relaxing, transition bed slow love. Missionary intimate gaze locked, rhythms heartbeat sync, releases eye contact profound. Harvest Moon Festival townwide, our float pride bedecked, stallion caparison rainbow, cheers deafening, her wave hand mine clasped. Intimacy lunar, orchard under orb blanket silvered bodies silhouetted, oral worship alternating, tastes mingled, climaxes howling wolf song. Winter wrapped cozy holiday bazaar stalls man joint, crafts selling brisk, her mulled wine sip shared spice lips kiss. Yule intimate, tree trimming playful, ornaments dangling ladder perch kiss, descending bed garland inspired binds, love making festive peaks bell chiming. Spring folings doubled miracles twin, our midwifery tearful celebration tavern toast, her speech heartfelt crowd roars. Summer solstice ritual lake, bonfire beach drums neighbor beat, dance firelit, her body press sweat slick, water plunge cooling, underwater caresses building surface breaks gasps, shore unions wave crashing. Depths plumbed. Letters future dated, read aloud dawn visions shared, adoptions dreamed, family queer built. Crisis averted. Drought pinching rain dances half jest, her cloud seed tease, storm breaking deluge mud wallow joy, cabin dry hump prelude bed furious. Meaning resonated, love evolution, taming self-mastery partnership amplification. Years layered like patina on brass, ranch thriving nexus, workshops queer youth empowering, Maria manager rising legacy branching. Our story once tempest now steady current but arcs demand tension. Health scare Riley's, riding spill rib crack hospital sterile beep, my vigil hand clasp fear visceral. Recovery slow couchbound her, soup simmering herb, my readings voice soothing touches featherlight healing. Intimacy adapted. Oral gentle, her receiving passive first, moans pained edge then freeing, my peaks her fingers guided. Resilience forged stronger, physical therapy joint, stretches mirroring, her progress celebrated bed victories, strap reintroduction gradual, rhythms cautious to fervent. External bloom. Book deal her memoir pitched, taming wild. Ranch, love, redemption, chapters co-written nights keyboard clacking wine fueled. Launch eve reading town hall, seats filled expectant, her voice gravel emotion, excerpts raw, applause standing after party hugs enveloping. Nights post fame. Hotel suite tour stop city lights twinkling, her dress unzipping slow mirror multiplied unions, peaks echoed halls. Home return grounding. Glade annual vow rings twisting affirm, love-making earth returned, slow builds to primal releases soil nurtured. Aging graceful, lines laughter etched, her hair silver threading, my curves softening attractions deepened, touches appreciative sessions marathon tender, vibrance aiding endurance, climaxes wiser waves. Crisis communal, flood threatening, sandbags heaving communal, her lead organize my logistics stream, waters receding victory bonfire, her arm shoulder drape, kiss public unashamed. Intimacy flood after. Tub shared silt wash bubbles medicating, her fingers circle therapeutic to teasing peaks ripple water. Depth conversations. Mortality mused legacies pondered, will stipulating ranch trust queer perpetual. Anniversaries marked extravagant. Decade vow desert, stars witness tent opulent, unions multi-orgasmic, her strap variations expert, my mouth artistry honed. Minor phrase. Argument budget voices raised echo makeup fierce wall press kiss, makeup sex urgent, nails scoring apology releases reconciling. Meaning crystallized love endurance taming time's gallop, bodies vessels souls eternal. Twilight years beckon gentle ranch heirloom, grandniece inheriting mentored joint, her eyes wide wonder, our narrative crested meaningful, reflection porch swing creek, sunsets shared silent, hands veined interlaced. Final conflict internal. Riley's diagnosis whisper. Cancer shadow doctor's office paper crinkle my world tilt, tears unshed stoic. Battle waged fierce, Treatments chemo nausea, my vigils soup spooning, her humor rye cracking. Intimacy persisted. Touches affirming, oral cherished, her pleasure paramount, peaks defiant life affirm. Remission dawn tentative celebration glade. Candles eternal flame, love making grateful, bodies frail yet fervent, releases tear-salted joy. Legacy cemented. Foundation queer ranchers scholarships flowing, her speech gala poised, my hand podium hidden squeeze. Elder grace. Walks slow trail benches memory marked, kisses bench soft, night spooned warm whispers dreams fulfilled. Culmination eve. Meteor shower promised blanket hilltop, her head lap pillowed, streaks silver streaking, her voice soft, best taming yours heart deep. Final union tender. Cabin familiar, lights dim bodies aligning memory touches recall, climaxes quiet profundity, sleep entwined peace. Epilogue dawn. Her passing gentle hand mine fading, ranch sunrise gilding my continuation, tales telling love eternal untamed. Enclosure meaning resonates. Love's true tame, willing surrender mutual wild spirits forever galloping tandem. Legacy whispers wind eternal.